Hello and what's up, everyone? We are back with another
motherfucking podcast.
Podcast. Bitches.
Fucking Mario.
Side geeks are back.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen Super Mario Brothers, please take your asses and your kids and whoever and go watch it. It's very entertaining.
Yes, I definitely loved it. I'm glad I was able to go see it. The critics can suck it. But good job, fans. Yes.
Yeah.
Very hard. But yeah, the movie was great. Any thoughts without spoilers? Except that it was great.
The amount of nostalgia will hit you immediately. All the bullshit all the hubbub that they were creating about Chris Pratt's voicing Mario. Who gives a shit? It's good.
For real.
And stay for the end credits. Some people tend to leave. Not saying who. Wasn't me. I'm not saying who. I'm just saying to stick around.
Yes. I pulled a J-Mo. No, I'm not gonna blame you. What movie did we go watch? Was it Wakanda Forever?
Yeah, but there was no end credit scene that we missed. I was right. We didn't pull a J-Mo. You didn't pull a J-Mo.
That's right. And so we just walked out and left. I mean, it's not a Marvel movie, right? So, I'm figuring nothing's gonna happen. And then of course there was. But good thing for the folks that on the internet, right, sharing and pirating the movie already, we were able to catch a little bit of the end scene. So go watch it. It's pretty awesome, phenomenal. You will not regret it. But today we're not talking about Mario Brothers. We'll probably wait a little bit for more folk to watch it, and then we'll break down the movie. But today we are talking about Star Wars because there's a lot of Star Wars going on. And mainly we're going to talk about the Mandalorian episode 5 and episode 6 that dropped that we haven't covered. But first, this past weekend, man, it was Star Wars Celebration 2023. And they were dropping announcements like a boss.
As the next president once said, it's huge. It's huge.
It's amazing. I think I texted you. I had to be Friday because I was like, hey, the new Ahsoka trailer dropped. And boy, I kept replaying it. It was so freaking cool, man. So freaking cool. I can't wait for August and watch Ahsoka. And I'll tell you a little bit something. Coincidentally, I told you I started watching Rebels, right? But coincidentally, a lot of season 3, I think, speaks to some of the stuff that might be going on in Mandalorian or Ahsoka, right? Ahsoka shows up in Rebels, of course, season 2, season 3. Oh my God, dude. I got to tell you something, and I got to tell all the folks listening, if you haven't watched Rebels, for years, I think it came out in 2014, and for years, I just thought it was just a stupid cartoon, an animated computerized cartoon that didn't have any story to tell or any more meat and potatoes, so to speak, to the Star Wars saga, to the Star Wars story. And God damn it, was I wrong. That freaking show is awesome. It's so freaking amazing. I'm in love with, Ezra, Sabine, Hera, Chopper, and my boy Kane and Zeb. Dude, I can't get enough, and I'm about 4 episodes away from finalizing the season 4, which is the final season. And we see Zeb in the Mandalorian, but speaking about the Ahsoka trailer, we see a lot of these characters, man. So, damn. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm a little pissed. And just a little, because it took what we were guessing on the Mandalorian season 3, and they said, no, go fuck yourself. Whatever you're guessing, that's for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So I'm still holding on to form. Hopefully that the final episode, which is only 2 episodes left, right, in Mandalorian?
I believe so, yes.
I'm hoping that the last episode, if there's an end credit scene or something, it somehow connects the 2 worlds of Ahsoka and Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because I mean, on top of that, because of the announcement of Ahsoka, there was also an announcement that Dave Filoni is going to be doing a Star Wars movie, which I believe is going to culminate all of these series that he's part of, like Mandalorian, Ahsoka, maybe even Book of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Because how the timeline's working out, so the Dave Filoni movie is going to be placed in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
and that's where we've been living the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I agree with you that we had some predictions on our last podcast when we covered episode 1 through 4 of Mandalorian season 3. And yes, I think one of your theories was Thrawn, right? Like Grand Admiral Thrawn, like showing up,
and maybe Ezra.
Yeah, and Ezra, and and then we see him in the Ahsoka trailer. That's still, I mean, it could very well mean, right? Maybe a 90% chance that we don't see him in the Mandalorian, but Star Wars, man, I mean, Favreau, he doesn't stop shocking me, man. So who knows? I mean, they might tease him there in the Mandalorian too, right? And or something, right? Well, but if you haven't watched Rebels yet, go do it, man, because it's awesome.
They've got it. They're going to do something big for the ending of this season, because every ending of the season has something that's been one-upped by the other season.
Yeah.
Yes, last season was huge. And to make it as equal in, let's say, levity, it would have to be something where an Easter egg to maybe even just Ezra running away and Thrawn chasing him, like similar to Rebels.
Yeah.
Like, Ezra ran away. Are we going to see a glimpse of him in the background? And then, or do we see Ahsoka show up asking Mando for help? I don't know.
It's it's gonna be good. And to be honest with you, and we'll get into the Mandalorian here in a little bit, but it has been.
Did you see the cast detail for Ahsoka?
I did not.
Please look it up as I keep talking.
Okay.
So we know that Thrawn's gonna be in it. The person voicing Thrawn in Rebels is actually the actor that will be portraying him in the live action as well. We're gonna be seeing a live action Sabine Wren. So are we gonna see Bo-Katan at the same time? Is there gonna be some sort of interaction between the two? Who knows?
I would say there has to be, right? Oh yeah. So Stefan the Ezra Bridger. So Ezra's there. Oh shit. Did you wait?
Say it.
Oh my God, Hayden Christensen, bro. Oh my God, this is just getting good.
So there's gonna be a flashback scenes of him and Ahsoka being trained. They're gonna do something like that.
Well, he's
similar to what we saw with Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Well, he's saying it's not Anakin. So, as Anakin, it's actually Darth Vader. So I'm thinking that, I mean, Vader's around kicking ass. So, I mean, and we see in Rebels, we do see Ahsoka and Vader duke it out at the Sith temple, right? So, oh my God, this just got to a different level, bro, because we're probably going to see a live action fight between Ahsoka and Vader, bro.
I think she's gonna hold back.
I think so.
Like, well, to Rebels.
The thing is that in Rebels we don't know, right? Because they went at it. I mean, she surprised the shit out of me. She pulled, and by this time, I mean, what the fuck, Lord Vader? Fucking, you let Obi-Wan break your mask and Ahsoka break your mask, bro. I mean, like, oh, so far, bro, it's not looking good. No, but I mean, obviously, Vader is the GOAT of all Siths, and the temple collapsed, right? And everybody's thought that Ahsoka and Vader died, right? And obviously, we know they didn't, but. So there was no winner, basically, right? So will they show us another fight? That just got super interesting. And then let's see. I don't think I see Bo-Katan's character here. That doesn't mean shit. But I wouldn't be shocked, man, because Sabine Wren had a lot to do, and I just saw this episode too, a lot to do with acquiring the Darksaber, giving it to Bo-Katan, right? And Bo-Katan's people just not following her anymore. So I think there has to be something there, right? Plus Bo-Katan is trying to recruit Mandalorians, right? So and for the trailer, we see that Sabine has long hair and she's probably like retired somewhere, right? And you know, who knows where.
Vacation. Somewhere on an island.
Yeah, she doesn't want anything to do with it. I mean, we don't know the story, but we just see she's long hair, no armor. So I think that that's probably going to be one of the storylines. Try to get her back in, maybe as a Mandalorian. We'll see. I mean, she is a Mandalorian, but you know what I mean. Like maybe into Bo or Kryze. How do you call those? The groups? They're creeds. So. So we'll see. The Bo-Katan Creeds, man.
The Night Owls?
Yeah. The dude, I think they're called yeah, isn't it
well, from the Mandalorian they're called the Night Owls. So I don't know
is it?
What they were called. Yeah.
Yeah. We see a little bit of Hera and Chopper. I thought that was pretty cool. And did you know that, you know, obviously right now I'm like in a Star Wars fucking rabbit hole. But did you know that Chopper made an appearance in Rogue One?
No.
There was a little clip. Let me see if I can pull it up. Chopper Rogue One. It's like a quick second, but he's in the background in one of the little markets. Here, let me show you. Let me see how I can do this. No. Okay, never mind. I don't think I'm going to be able to share it, but if you look up Chopper Rogue One, he's there like in the background just running around and shit. So I thought that was pretty cool because I didn't know back then that, you know, that, I mean, I think this series just came out like maybe like a year before Rogue One came out. I think Rogue One came out in 2015, 2016. So we didn't know who Chopper was, but I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, so besides Ahsoka,
they told us about Andor season 2, August 2024, which will be the last season leading up to Rogue One.
Right.
We've known about that before that. When they first announced Andor, they told us that it was only going to be 2 seasons. Yeah,
that's an interesting one. Because like we know as fans, right, that that story ends. Like there's not much they can do with Mr. Diego Luna unless, you know, they kind of pass the baton to somebody else, but then it wouldn't be Andor anymore, right? So
well, I mean, we have been dabbling in cloning, so we could clone him if we wanted to.
Interesting.
But he's not that important.
This is true. Yeah, so that was pretty exciting. And they also announced a couple of movies, right? So I think Rey is coming back.
Yep. So, like you said, 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker, we will see a movie take place all about Rey Skywalker. I guess that's her name now.
Yeah. It would be weird to call her what, Rey Palpatine. But anyway,
what do you think that's going to cover? Like, I mean, what's that going to cover? And who's the big bad?
All right, so this is what I know, and this is what I've read. That and I'll tell you guys that I love Star Wars. I didn't completely fall in love with the last 3 movies. I thought they could have done a lot better, right? I mean, they had the opportunity. They had Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, come back, and they had this really nice developing story with Finn and Rey. And I think besides just the Easter eggs, right, like seeing the Millennium Falcon and seeing Han Solo and Chewbacca or whatever, which was nostalgic, like the storyline was just, it didn't do it for me. Maybe I need to go back and watch them again. But
nope, you don't.
Yeah. So when they announced like, oh, she's coming back and it's going to be 15 years in the future, I'm like, I just hope that, they have some consistency with the shows that they are playing now, right? And, bring that type of Star Wars that we've grown to love for the last few years. And then they don't fuck this up, right? But what I understand is it's going to be 15 years after the last movie. And the goal of these new movies is Rey bringing the Jedi Order back and putting it back together.
Who's coming back? Who do you think is coming back?
I mean,
is Finn coming back? Are we going to see Chewbacca?
Chewbacca's still there. Chewbacca's still there, right? Finn has to come back, I'm guessing. Poe, right? Poe Cameron, right? My Guatemalan paisan.
I think that watermelon paisan of yours is not coming back.
I mean, if you think about it, Pedro Pascal probably will be there because he's on everything. But he doesn't count because he's on everything. So,
I just don't understand. I don't know what they're gonna bring forward to entice us.
Yeah.
Like, how many times are we gonna kill the new empire?
Mm-hmm.
So who else? We got to have somebody else on the.
Well,
we just killed off Palpatine again.
Yeah, so I think that the big bad is going to be Snoke.
Really?
Yeah, I have a feeling that, how they were cloning him and he's a clone. And I think, to be honest with you, that Grogu will have, I don't know for sure, right? But for some reason, all these talk about cloning and DNA, I think what they're trying to accomplish, right, is to get basically the DNA of a Sith and a Jedi together and create the ultimate dude, right? And I think that's kind of like what Snoke is, like the ultimate evil, right? Or was, but
what I'm saying is like that whole thing blew up on that planet with all the clones that were in the tubes and the jars or whatever. Like, if we're gonna go the cloning route and you want to make a big impact, you bring back a dark version of Luke Skywalker.
Ooh.
Darth Skywalker.
Ooh.
Like, I mean, because I'm trying to think who can oppose her that's going to make her second guess herself. Now that 15 years later, she's probably a full-fledged Jedi, a Jedi Master, I should say.
Yeah.
So someone's got to knock her on her ass a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if they and mind you, when they bring them forth, you get Sebastian Stan to pull off young Luke Skywalker, but a dark version. Don't bring back Mark Hamill.
Right.
Just bring back a dark version of Luke Skywalker at his young age, and had Sebastian Stan play him.
That's interesting.
Because they look alike.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Let me see. But yeah, I mean, that's my theory. I don't know if maybe, like we'll have some more Inquisitors, but I mean, that's like not really a threat. I mean, it's a threat, but not really a threat. And just please not bring Kylo Ren back. So I'd rather see Jar Jar probably, but anyway,
you're out of your fucking.
but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. That's my theory. Maybe like some type of clone, like Snoke, right? But like what, like so you think a dark version of Luke?
Why not?
But isn't that Anakin though? I mean, if you think about it.
Well, no, because it's a clone. So the real version would have gone to the light side or the positive end.
Dude, what if?
And the remake is probably the worst of them all.
Dude, what if they bring Vader back? I mean, obviously cloning him, right? But he has been like the ultimate bad. He is Star Wars universe bad guy. He's the bad guy, right?
Or
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Okay, we're going down a rabbit hole right now.
Let's do it. I don't give a fuck. Talk, man.
We took the red pill and we're trying to see how far this rabbit hole goes. What if the bad guy is Luke and the good guy is Anakin? They clone both. They clone both. Sebastian Stan plays Luke, and you bring back Hayden Christensen as Anakin.
Oh my
without the
God.
memories of going bad.
Oh my God.
You clone them both. Don't bring back Darth Vader. Bring back whatever version Luke becomes as if he was taken by Palpatine or tricked by Palpatine.
What I thought you were gonna say, and I'm gonna throw another wild one here. And you know how Rey is looking for Jedi, right? I mean, she's gonna be looking for Jedi to kind of bring back the Jedi Order or whatever throughout the galaxy, looking for special talented kids or whatever. Who's to say that there's not a motherfucker out there, right, collecting DNA samples, and they bring back all of them, bro, like Darth, Maul, fucking what's his name?
We just made the Disney budget for this movie expand immensely.
Imagine, here you go, Rey. Now you got to fight all these like 4 dudes. Palpatine, man. I don't know, but I just hope it has to be something big to make it worth our while, right? Like I think every Star Wars fan feels the same way. The last 3 movies were like, meh. They exist, but they were
literally. I can honestly tell you the last 3 movies were just honestly, like I just think that's all I hear. When I hear about those last, I just hear that noise. I'm like, God, that makes sense. Okay, so like getting back to the announcements real quick.
He brought the sound effects, ladies and gentlemen. Be careful. Now you got my attention.
I found the button. So as we're talking about this movie that Rey is going to be starring in again, the only thing I would want to see different prior to even making it, I would have rather have James Mangold direct a Rey movie, because you want a director that knows what the fuck he's doing. Mm-hmm. Now, needless to say, I don't know who the Rey director is. I'm meaning like I've never heard of this person before. All I know is I've heard of Dave Filoni, who's directing one movie that's going to be based between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, and James Mangold's directing a Star Wars movie that's going to talk about the first Jedi to ever wield the Force.
Yes.
So I'd rather see James Mangold take care of something that's been a problem and fix it, and then let whoever this person is that's assigned to the Rey Star Wars movie take care of the first Jedi Star Wars movie, because at least that one will be interesting only on the fact of history. and there's no weirdness behind it, meaning like there's nothing showing us that this could have flopped.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for the Rey movie, in the back of our heads, we're thinking this might suck.
Yeah. And
we have doubts.
Yeah, and I hope they change things, right. I think they have a lot more focus on that. I mean, Disney Plus has done a great job, right? Getting these awesome TV series, obviously with Filoni, Favreau, right? And hopefully Mangold comes through. I think his words were something like almost like a Star Wars Bible movie, right? Like the origins, the first Force wielder. I mean, that's exciting. I mean, we need some fresh characters, right? That is not Rey and her crew, right? So I think that's exciting, and we just gotta hope for the best. But for now, man, I mean, I know Ahsoka's gonna be great. They announced the Bad Batch too, right? Like I think like a third season. The Acolyte, right? I think that's also one of the first origin stories, right, that we'll have before those movies come out. So we have some good shit coming out, and I hope that they keep the consistency, right?
So the director of Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movies, is going to be it's coming out with one called Skeleton Crew that's starring Jude Law. So familiar with Jude Law, that was in Captain Marvel, is joining forces with the director of Spider-Man to create Skeleton Crew. So it's going to be interesting.
Nice. I like it. All right. So out of that, I think that sums it up. But it was a good weekend for Star Wars. I'm happy. And dude, for a minute, I even forgot about The Mandalorian. So let's bring it back and let's talk about, this little father figure, taking care of his little one in Grogu. And you just dropped some news to me before the podcast that Grogu was not gonna make it, man. Do you mind repeating it for the audience? That was news to me.
One thing that we uncovered, or I should say other people have uncovered, I'm just reciprocating the news, is the fact that when season 2 of Mandalorian ended and Grogu went and tried to train as a Jedi, in Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau's eyes, that was the last we were going to see of Grogu for a while. Meaning, Mandalorian was Din Djarin of the Mandalorian was going to go off and take care of other things and not have Grogu with them. So what happened, though, there's been a little bit of a civil war between Jon Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy, the head of Star Wars at Disney. She ended up overseeing the bring back of Grogu in the Book of Boba Fett back into Mandalorian's arms at the behest of Jon Favreau, and he was pissed. Mm-hmm. According to insiders, they've been saying that he was ready to quit because they had altered the story that they had planned, and now bringing back Grogu, he had to rewrite season 3 to some aspect. Mm-hmm. So Grogu wasn't coming back.
That's crazy. And my thoughts to that is like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened, because I love seeing Grogu, right?
You need a little Grogu in your life.
I need a little Grogu in my life. As you can see behind me, big fan. I get giggly every time he does something and jumps or whatever. But to your point, like you were saying, like he needs to grow up and talk and like do some Jedi shit, right?
I think he should have trained under Luke for a couple of years, at least 5, before coming back to the Mandalorian show of some sort. And they could have wrote him in at any point, him saving Din Djarin if they cross paths or something.
Right.
So you could have brought him in at any point. And I think seeing Grogu going through season 3 right now, I'll be honest, he's just arm candy at this point. He is useless to me. Like all these things that are going on, the big story of all of season 3 of the Separatists, the cloning, the doctor, I forget the doctor's name again.
Pershing.
You remember Dr. Pershing coming back, him getting mind erased. Everything that's going on in the background Grogu's not needed. Even when taking on people or taking on other Mandalorians to pass the test, I could have done without. I mean, he's not an important figure in season 3.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of nostalgic to me too, because he is part Jedi, he is part. I mean, he is Baby Yoda, and yes, while I would like to see some type of acceleration and whether he has a lightsaber or a full Mandalorian armor. I mean, there's theories out there that maybe next season or maybe by the end of this season we'll see him with Mandalorian armor and a helmet and everything. Which I don't know how to feel about that, to be honest with you. But because I like his cute face. But yeah, I think that you're right. Like, they need to make him grow, make him, be a valuable asset other than just being cute, right? But I just feel like, without Grogu, not personally, but just holistically, I think a lot of people will stop watching.
No,
you don't think so?
I think if they left it at season 2 how it ended, and they started off like if Book of Boba Fett had nothing to do with Grogu, and I think the stories would have been better without Grogu in it. Now they have to find ways to make him useful. They have to put him in somebody's arms. You got to see Lizzo carrying him around. And then like all he's doing is little things here and there and just making noises.
Yeah.
And he's boring right now.
Yeah. Hey, did they announce Mandalorian movie, or am I dreaming? Because I think I heard something about like the ending of the Mandalorian to be a movie.
I think the Dave Filoni directed Star Wars thing is going to be something to that effect. Mm-hmm. I think that's where they were going with some of the theories, that it's going to be similar to a Mandalorian movie, including Ahsoka, including Boba Fett, and bringing his stories to a culmination of some sort.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But details still waiting. All
right. So episode 5, called The Pirate. Man, first of all, we'll probably won't break it down in as much detail because if you already saw it, it's already old news. But it was probably one of the best episodes so far this season. There was a lot of action, a lot of Mandalorian action, right? But it kind of starts in Navarro, right? And the pirates kind of coming back.
We bring back Gorian Shard.
That's right. Gorian Shard, we're saying that, hey, he's going to be relevant.
You know what he is? I forgot if it was you or someone else I heard. They said he's the perfect mixture of Swamp Thing and Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs. He's like the perfect mold.
Yeah, it's like, after seeing him again, not that he wasn't cool or anything, but it also reminded me of maybe like a little bit of Oscar the Grouch and like in the sense of like, man, did you run out of budget? Are those literally like dollar store strings that you put around his fucking face? Like, it was so like, man, dude, you look so fake.
I was taken back by what they created for Gorian Shard. I'll be honest. I was like, yeah, Pizza the Hut, Swamp Thing. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, without getting into it, I mean, they just kind of come back for revenge from like episode 2, right? When they, shoot their soldiers. Who shot first? Who gives a shit, right? But they come back striking. The people of Navarro have to kind of evacuate, and we want to send a message, right? To the New Republic to see if they can help. This planet is not part of, the New Republic's the Empire, right? Where they get protection. So he kind of says, hey, I'm putting out there a message, right? And Captain Carson, right? is the one that goes and warns the Mandalorians.
Yes, with a nice shout out to Zeb at the same time.
Hell yeah. So, yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, right? So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, it was a quick scene, but confirmed that it was Zeb, right? What do you think? Are we going to see more?
No, I don't think we're going to see more of him, other than the fact that if, let's say, Carson Teva, is that his name? Colonel Carson Teva, the one that got the message sent to him from Grief Karga. So he contacts Carson. I think the biggest time we're going to see Zeb again is only if a squadron is put together and helps the Mandalorians with whatever is going on. But I doubt we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see anything anymore. The thing I took back from this episode is that the amount of resemblance I'm getting to the Andor story, like meaning like before it was the Old Republic manhandling everybody, and then the rebels, how we saw the beginnings of the rebels, and Andor helping out how the rebels began. This is literally the polar opposite. The Empire has taken over, democracy's supposedly back in its place, but then you start realizing the Empire has a lot of loopholes in it, a lot of things, a lot of T's that haven't been crossed and I's that haven't been dotted. Whereas for the Old Republic, they pretty much handled everything inner circle and middle circle, but anything on the outer rim was free game. With the Empire, they can't even handle the middle part.
Right.
The middle rim is where Navarro is, and there's no help for Navarro. Right. So you're kind of seeing the downfall of one empire to the other.
Yeah.
In the two movies.
Absolutely. Now, we do know that, from like the prior, I think episode 1 or 2, I'm trying to remember what's his name? The High Magistrate. What's his name?
Grief Karga?
Yeah. So offered the Mandalorian some land or whatever, which becomes relevant in this episode. But, we have a nice little Mando speech, right? After Captain Carson kind of delivers the news, and he kind of says, hey, like, it was cool to see him, grab the hammer and kind of like doing his pitch, right? His little speech, and saying, hey, like, let's see our kids grow, right? Outside, not, in a place where we're not eaten by fucking birds and huge Lake Placid alligators, right? And Paz kind of.
I think prior to that, before you go into that, the fact that Carson Teva still had a connection with R5 was pretty cool to help him find where the Mandalorians are staying at this point, because they were off planet. They weren't on Navarro when all this was going on. And so that R5 is still an Empire droid, still doing work for the Empire. Now, if I'm the Mandalorians, am I destroying this R5 immediately? That's the part I was thinking about. Like, man, you ratted us out as soon as you could. Okay. And then, that's what led into Din Djarin and the Armorer and Pre Vizsla all going to their speeches with the hammer and tote about what they should do. We found out that there's land to be had again from the Mandalorians. It could be a substation to what eventually will be them going back to Old Mandalore. So we'll see about that. We'll see where that takes us. But, for now, this is all the home they have. And that's where Din Djarin was coming from. He wants somewhere where we can raise our children to be prideful and not live in the sewers anymore. And not until I don't think anyone was really believing him until Pre Vesla said something.
Paz.
And I'd let you. Paz Vesla.
Paz Vesla. Yeah. No. Yeah. So I thought it was interesting that he starts with like, you know, those dudes attacked, like killed, you know, a lot of my men and this and that. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, you know, literally cock-blocking Mando. And then he does a little switcheroo and he said, but, you know, this man said my child and, you know, like, this is the way and all that. And then they kind of drop in, right, into Navarro, and then the whole action started. And I gotta tell you, man, when they are, when the Children of the Watch are dropping and they just start killing pirates, right? And then Paz shows up with the mini gun blast, just blasting it. Oh my God, dude. I was like, yes, like this is the Mandalorian. This is what it's supposed to be, man. Like all these guys kicking ass. And it was so wonderful to see. That even the armorer, right, got involved like with her hammer and started like duking pirates like a boss, right? I miss that. You know, I know that we get some action scenes here and there, but this episode was like, I felt like at least the last, 25 minutes of it was all that.
You know what I want to see though? And I don't get why Paz Vizsla's cannon isn't strong enough. I feel like it's got the same strength as any other Mandalorian pistol. And for it being such a backpack, big ass thing coming through, the barrel is huge. You would think you'd have the same power as Chewbacca's cannon. That cannon that he holds that looks like a bow and arrow thing.
Right.
And that thing can shoot like we figured that out in the later trilogies that thing can it's got a walloping. It can take out walls and shit.
Yeah.
I would think Paz Vizsla's cannon that he's walking around with a fucking backpack connected to it would be just as strong. So when his child is being taken and he's shooting and it's doing no effect on the monsters, I'm just like a little thrown off by it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I thought it was cool how he was knocking out pirates, right? Like left and right. I didn't think about the potency of the actual laser beam, like going through walls or anything like that. But they pretty much had him, except that the pirates had this big old bazooka that were shooting him, and they got him, right? And this is where we see the armor kind of take them out one by one with no gun. Yeah. Right. But yeah, to your point, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Big ass dude, like with a big old gun, like, yeah, probably be nice to see more damage.
In all seriousness, no one else has a cannon like his.
No.
Yeah. Giggity.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at all giggity. If you look at everybody else though, man, like their armors are just, basically a collection of whatever they probably could gather. Like they look homeless, to be honest with you, right? Like, with the exception of Bo, Mando, and Paz, and the armor probably, right? But everybody else is just like a Mandalorian peasant that didn't have enough Beskar or whatever, and they just took whatever. In fact, I think somewhere I heard and saw the mention that some of them are wearing some clone armory, right? Because you just put on what you can get. But Armor hammers them all. They take down the pirates, of course. Bo and Mando are in the air, and they kind of do their business. They take down the main ship for the pirate, and Grieve gives them the land, right? But I wanted to bring it back to that point because I think that was an important part where the armorer calls Bo out, right? And to speak in private.
Right.
So what did you think about that interaction? I mean,
honestly, the whole time I was thinking this is some sort of setup because we don't know nothing about the armorer. We don't know her history. I've never seen her in any past episodes of any show. If I have, I might have missed it in the small glimpses that she's been in.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. And then when she first informed Bo to take her helmet off, I had the same reaction as Bo did. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Like, you setting me up. It's a trap.
And then, so the whole scene is she brings her down. She talks to her and saying that Armorer wants Bo to be the representative of all of Mandalore, to bring everyone, to unite our Mandalorian culture to one. Bo happily and graciously accepts. Now, mind you, this was a conversation in private. When they met up with the other Mandalorians on Navarro after their victory, Bo-Katan doesn't have her helmet on. Now, the only part that has me skeptical, not one time after the armor informs the rest of the clan about why Bo-Katan has her helmet off, nobody said this is the way. Not the armor, not anybody. So, from what we know about Mandalorians, if you want it stamped, like this is a point of approval, they end every fucking phrase with "This is the way."
Yeah.
So when Armor is telling everyone, he never said "This is the way." Nobody else said it. So now I'm skeptical that this is going to cause a rift amongst Mandalorians.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I didn't notice that, and I think that because there's two paths, right? Of course, of the Mandalorians, right? But yeah, I didn't catch that. See, what I took from it is because the armor, when they're speaking in private, she does kind of acknowledge the fact that she saw the Mythosaurus, right? And it was something from the prior episode when she asks the armorer, that well, she tells the armorer she saw it. The armorer just kind of said, "This is the way," kind of like brushed it off, like, yeah, you're imagining things. But by this time, what I took from it is like, oh, the armorer believed her. Like probably had some time to think about it, and she's like, oh shit, like, okay, so she has to be our leader. She's right. She has walked both ways, and if anybody's gonna recruit all the other Mandalorians out there that walk the non-helmet way, right, then she would probably be it. I didn't pay attention to that final scene, so that might be something, but we'll talk about the episode 6 here in a little bit, because I think that'll explain a little bit more about that. But just to close up with that, at the end of episode 5, we see that Captain Carson finds the ship that was escorting Moff Gideon to the tribunal, and it has broken into. And they obviously know Moff Gideon, but they find Beskar. So what do you think is going on there?
Because Moff Gideon used to wield the Darksaber. Said it right this time. Darksaber. I think he has some devout followers that are Mandalorian. And these Mandalorians, I don't think we've met yet. If we have, they might be running a spy campaign. But I do think it is a Mandalorian who helped them. And I do believe that we're going to see him in the next episode. If not, I mean, he has to show up in the next episode. Because, I mean, there's only 2 left. How much story can you tell of Moff Gideon in the final episode?
Yeah, I think that it's just probably going to be a last episode type thing, like, I'm back, right? And with his army of Mandalorians, like you said. I mean, at first I was thinking that maybe he was trying to set the Mandalorians up, right? The actual Din Djarin's crew right now, Din Djarin and Bo-Katan's crew, because he has beef with them, right? They basically captured him, so maybe set them up some kind of way. But then what you're saying makes sense, because he did have Mandalorian followers, and it is possible that we see Moff Gideon in full Mandalorian armor too.
What if, and this is a totally bullshit guess, because we haven't seen him or anything or his partner in crime, what if it's Boba Fett being hired to help escape? You know, somebody hired Boba Fett to get this done. And I know it's way out there. He's on Tatooine taking care of business. But we're not sure if there's going to be a part 2 to his season.
Yeah. You know, I feel that they probably wouldn't put him. Like, I feel that the message they try to give with the Book of Boba Fett was that he was a changed man and that he was like for the people and everything. So I wonder if your theory is right, like what made him break, you know, because he was definitely in the good path and he showed it, right? Like he fought and everything, like he showed it. So I'm wondering what would, I mean, other than credits, because he is reigning whatever Tatooine, and he's pretty well off. I mean, does he need money? I mean, he, you know, but
I mean, if you're trying to make Tatooine a good spot for a family, yeah, you need money, because he took care of a lot of the mob, a lot of the Hutts. He took care of anyone else that was trying to come up in the world. Okay, then if it's not that, who do you think helped him escape?
Yeah, so honestly, I thought that maybe what's her name, Elia Kane, right? Like somehow was able to manage a breakout, but you know, I think what you're saying makes sense only because of the history, right? We don't know a lot about Moff Gideon, right? We just know that he wielded the Darksaber and that he had, Mandalorians under him. That's as much as we know. And whatever we've seen in the Mandalorian season 1, right? So I think your theory is the one that makes more sense. I want to
alter my theory.
Huh?
After you tell you, I'm going to alter my theory.
Okay.
After you tell me what you think, what do you think happens? Keep going.
No. So that, right? So I think that if there's a group of Mandalorians led by Moff Gideon, I think eventually, of course, we're going to see Din, Bo, fight them or whatever. And in the end, there's going to be a winner, which I think is going to be Bo, right? And we're going to go in the direction of the restoration of Mandalore, right? Before hitting another curveball. My other thought is maybe we don't even get to that point in the season. They show us Moff Gideon with his army, and they're gonna save that for season 4, right?
I think the person helping him escape is led by the armorer. Mind you, I don't think the armorer went there, or maybe she did. I think it's the armorer. If I had to guess, like really guess, I do think it's Mandalorians that are devout to Moff Gideon. And I believe the armorer has given me a lot of skepticism with some of her antics and the fact that her helmet has spikes like Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Still has me up in arms about what's going on.
Yeah, so I think go ahead and finish your thought. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, if it's not her, it's something involving her.
I feel like so I read your theory. I went back and like started looking up, and yeah, Rookcast was a Darth Maul or same species, right? With the little horns, which would explain the little horns in her helmet. But I feel like this is, even though she was the same species and did work with Maul, I feel like she has been rehabilitated, and I do feel that she is truly good. Even with her, I was skeptic of Bo, like I had a lot of skepticism of Bo, right? But after seeing the last few episodes, it just kind of, the message that I see is that they're trying to convey that she is legit, right? As well as the armor. And I think maybe the armorer saw that in her too. So I think she is walking a straight path, both Bo and the armorer. I don't think she'll be involved, but then again, it would be a nice twist for TV. It would be a nice twist if we have a female, Maul out there, causing havoc, right? But I don't know, man. She was too close to Grogu, right? She was too close to Mando. I mean, she built their freaking armor, all right? So I don't know. It could be. Or maybe she helped them. If anything, maybe help them break out so that she can kill them. Right?
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't know. I don't think she's bad. That's.
Well, I don't think it's Bo-Katan because I think the reason why there was Beskar steel. Who else would have access to extra Beskar steel than the armorer that's embedded in the walls? Like. It's something to that aspect.
Yeah, maybe. But anyways, good theories. Well, I guess we'll find out in the next couple episodes, I hope. And then we jump into Guns for Hire, where we see we start with like the squid people, right? And this kind of like love story of like the squid people and the calamari, right, kind of being in love and all of that, and then they get taken by this Mandalorian group that we still don't know who they are at this point, right? They're basically mercenaries, right? Like they're soldiers for hire. They take this guy or whatever, and that's how the show starts. We find out that those guys are in this planet. I forgot what the planet. I'm gonna call it Epcot Center planet.
Laser 15. Plazar 15.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like $600 to get in, possibly.
Yeah, of course.
But they find out that there's more Mandalorians there. She needs to go recruit. So they go to this planet, and to our surprise, boom, we see Jack Black and Lizzo.
Captain Bombardier.
I love it, bro. I love it. On the same day, too, that Mario Brothers came out, we see Jack Black in Star Wars doing his Star Wars debut. Oh, Lord, I was happy.
Peaches.
Grogu. Anyway, so, yeah, I thought that was cool. What do you think about that? Bringing them in?
I thought it was a nice little cameo for both. I think Lizzo did a great job. I like the fact that they're bringing in people or actors that are, first of all, Star Wars fans.
Yes.
Jack Black is he's been watching Mandalorian since season 1. And mind you, he's a Star Wars fan. So to have him just be excited to play in the role, I did not mind at all. I think he did a great job. I mean, a lot of Easter eggs in this episode, especially with all the droids that we all saw. You saw ex-stormtroopers that have been converted. Obviously, Captain Bombardier went through the amnesty program as well that we saw Dr. Pershing go through. So a lot of callbacks to not only Mandalorian callbacks, but every Star Wars movie callback was done as well.
Yeah.
Huge Easter eggs.
It was great, man. I think it was almost, I was so excited, man, because it was almost, well, besides it being like a CSI Mandalorian style, right? It was like a spy thriller type episode, right? But it also kind of gave those vibes of watching the Clone Wars, bro. Like I had that like flashback, when you see the clunkers, and they're talking, like you hadn't seen them in live action, I don't think, since episode 1, 2, and 3, right? I that I can remember in live action, right? So I was pretty pumped. Right.
They even had the droids that talk like this. Hey, you can't be in there.
Right. Yeah. Those are the ones. And like, yeah, I wouldn't do that if I were you. So, and them going after clues after clues, like that droid bar was excellent. I think it was called the Renaissance or something like that. Right. Where it was like all droids.
The Resistance.
The Resistance.
Resistor. How about the fact that when they first got there, you saw the black version of C-3PO and R2-D2 to welcome them in? Like literally, I would love to get one of those R2 units all black like that. That guy looked fucking sick.
Yeah. Did you see the one with the clear dome?
Yeah.
That was crazy,
it was
right?
amazing.
It was so cool.
I mean, even the bartender, he was a droid callback to, I believe it was Rebels when we first saw his type of droid. But you saw everything.
Yeah.
I mean, every typical droid you saw, they were in there. Even the Oompa Loompa ones that looked like nothing but giant trash cans that just like this all the time.
And I thought it was funny too that to see an episode. I mean, because Mando is not fond of droids, and putting him in a situation where he's surrounded by them, right, and needing to like trust them when some of them are like acting back or whatever, right? Like I thought that was pretty cool, and like their whole, Watson, and what's his name? Sherlock Holmes, yeah. Like the little going after clues. I thought that was pretty cool, but
here's you know what I caught from the glimpse of this episode. Both Bo-Katan and Din Djarin have different aspects on how to treat potential clients or let's say royalty. So obviously Din Djarin isn't as well educated in the art of how to interact with royal people. Right. So he's just your typical blue collar worker, whereas for Bo-Katan, tries everything she can in the most proper and nice way not to accept this request from both Captain Bombardier. What's Lizzo's character name?
You know what? I just
the Duchess. The
Duchess. That's right.
The Duchess of Plazar 15.
Yeah, that was cool.
So they've been asked by the Duchess and Captain Bombardier to look into their droid issue. They've had issues of droid malfunctioning, similar to iRobot, similar to every robot chaos movie that's ever happened. There's something wrong with their robots. They're going against their people. They're malfunctioning. They're causing harm to their owners or to the human people. So they asked Din and Bo to take a look at them, do some investigating. Come to find out that, getting back to my point, Bo-Katan knows how to talk to the royalty, but she does not know how to talk to the heart and soul of the people there, or the people that created these droids. And they were called the... Who were the people?
Ugnaughts.
The Ugnaughts?
The Ugnaughts, yeah. That's when Mando kind of drops Quill's name. He's like, because they didn't listen to her. She's like, I'm Ugnaught Quill's friend. And everybody's like, what? I have spoken, bitches.
And like, you got to say, I have spoken, which is similar to their, this is the way.
Right.
And it's like, you got to talk in a point of respect and demand at the same time. There's no asking. It's just respect and demand.
Right.
Here's what I need.
Yeah, that was cool because those guys are pretty bold, right? Like there's no sugarcoating. Just say it like it is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. And then we see also in the process Doc, Christopher Lloyd, right?
We meet Doc Brown. He's the head of security.
Yeah, as Commissioner Helligate, head of security, who ends up being the actual guy behind everything, right?
Well, it's kind of funny. You call yourself Commissioner Hellgate. How are you not the bad guy?
Right.
You named the guy Hellgate. How are you not the bad guy?
Yeah.
So like as soon as he said, "Yeah, I'm Commissioner Hellgate," in his weird Doc Brown voice, I was like, okay, he's up to something.
Yeah.
Immediately, I said it to me. I'm like, he's up to something.
Yeah. So a note there is that how ridiculous was, and I love the episode. Don't get me wrong, but how ridiculous was the red button, bro? The red button that is right there. It reminded me of that movie, Aliens, Monsters vs. Aliens, where they had two big red buttons. One of them was for like the nukes, and the other one was for coffee. And it was like right there, uncovered. Like anybody could just hit that shit at any time, and everybody dies, bro. Like, so I just thought that was pretty hilarious, very cartoony.
Like there was some office. Like I think I brought this up to you before. When they first got there, they rode inside the Tesla tube.
Yeah.
To get to the palace. Bo-Katan is launched backwards when that thing first takes off. Now, Din is facing Bo, and the thing is going that way. So why is he not pushed forward into Bo? Why is it she's feeling the impact and he's just there like, have we moved yet?
Yeah, I would have loved to seen that. I think eventually they're gonna do it, man. I think they're gonna do. They're flirting, bro. I mean, they're like stepping into that. They're crossing that line sometimes.
And this is going back to the question I had before. How do Mandalorians do it? Is everything off and keep the mask on?
D-O-double-G.
Is keeping the helmet on their version of practicing safe sex? Because I got my head covered.
Maybe the little head has a little helmet, bro.
That would be for her pleasure. Giggity.
Yeah, and another thing that didn't make sense to me is that the reason why the royals brought Bo and Mando there were because nobody can have arms, but they had them there because arms are part of the Mandalorian creed, right? So they couldn't ask them to remove their guns, right? Because it's part of who they are, which doesn't make sense if they already hired the mercenaries, or why didn't they hire the mercenaries to do this investigation? So I felt like that was another hole there.
Well, I think their version of why is because they wanted to be discreet. And when we saw the Night Owls, they're a group of hundreds now. They got a whole flight squadron. They took Moff Gideon's ship. They have you see all that.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I liked about it is that they brought them in. The way they enticed them is that if you help us find an issue, what the problem is, we will back your play on making Mandalore part of the new empire. And I love that. I love the fact that they finally have someone who's already part of the empire looking to back their play and their pledge to enter the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. So after they get Doc Brown,
after talking to the Ugnaughts, they started looking around. They talked to Hellgate. He just said that their first interaction with him was more of the reason why we don't shut them off is because everyone is pulling a Wally, and every human is just in need of their droids. They can't live without their droids. People are lazy. They don't work. All they do is shop and drink and have a good time. How they make money, no fucking clue.
Yeah. Is that a call out to our phone spying on us and everything, and we just look the other way because we need our phones?
Bro, it's a call out to how we're being dependent on our phone, on everything technology-wise, whether it be the watch you wear, the phone, everything connecting to everything with Alexa and Siri and all the other bullshit. Yeah. We're going to be some fat-ass motherfuckers soon.
Already. So they find that there's something in their lubricant, right, that they kind of use to kind of restore some of their parts or whatever. Apparently there's some nanobots or some shit that was put on there that was turning them, right?
Well, what they do now is like, you know how on our phones we always get these time to upgrade our software type shit.
Yep.
With the droids on Plasma 15, when they get, let's say, an oil change, that oil change has certain upgrades embedded in it to help, I guess, upgrade their systems. No other way of saying it. The issue that they've investigated was inside these, I guess, inside these codes, someone hid nanobytes on a certain number of robots or androids that got downloaded with this specific software and fluid.
Mm-hmm.
And those nanobytes are the ones that are causing them to go against their primary objective ruling in their system.
Yeah, and I thought it was even interesting that the robot or the droid taking the lubricant out got infected right away, right? Some The Last of Us type shit.
Where did we see that droid before? Was that the droid that helped, I guess, birth Leia and Luke? Or was that a different droid? I know they were the blue species there.
Yeah, I thought we saw him in Andor, maybe, but maybe you're right.
I can't remember where I seen this robot. I know I've seen the robot somewhere.
Yeah,
the big head, the big white head with the red eye.
Yeah.
I know I've seen it somewhere else. I just don't know where.
Because they normally have those in Rebels. There's a lot of, but the black ones, right? The black ones with the red eye. Yeah. They have the tentacles or whatever. So, but interesting. So they find out, Hellgate is the one, the culprit, and when they bring him in front of the royals, he mentions Dooku, right? And I think he was probably going to mention Anakin, right?
He was going to mention Anakin for sure. He's like, because he was saying that, Count Dooku was right and everything he wanted. And like, if you think about it, Dooku is like Disney's version of Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
He's wrong in the implementation of how he did it, but his theory isn't that off.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to jump into Marvel. I'm just saying, like, his theory is correct. And then as he's saying his theory is, Count Dooku was right until you brought in your, and he was going to describe bringing in Anakin, his assassin that chopped off Dooku's head. Right before actually saying the word Anakin, Bo-Katan just shoots him. He gets zapped him right in the chest.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was pretty crazy. And we'll probably have to do another separate segment for Dooku at some point, maybe a short for YouTube or something. But yeah, man, his story is very interesting. And I think you said it beautifully right now, where I think his mind was in the right place, just took the wrong actions to get there, right? Mm-hmm. And got him killed. But then, so we move from that part. Everybody's great, whatever. So we jump into the part where they need to go.
Keys to the city.
Yeah, keys to the city. Fuck my wife, whatever.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
I thought when she was given the key to the city, at some point, I really assumed she was going to use that key against the Night Owl leader, which I can't remember the name.
Axe Woes.
Axe Woes, exactly.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to use that right upside his head at a certain point, but go ahead.
Yeah,
it didn't happen.
No. What I thought was funny is that, the Royals weren't expecting Bo and Mando to come with Hellgate like so quick, because they were like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" or whatever. Mm-hmm. But suddenly, the key to the city is right next to her. Like, oh, by the way, like, is the key with her all the time? Is there a droid holding it? Like, oh, by the way, here's the key. I'm like, all right, that was.
Well, let me ask you this before you go into Bo versus Woes, which is the funny way to say it. do you think Captain Bombardier is legit, good guy or bad guy? With everything that's been going on with Dr. Pershing and Kyla and everyone, do you think he's a good guy or a bad guy?
He seems that he was rehabilitated, right? But it also seemed... I also had that feeling when they were at first at the table, like, oh, this guy's going to turn, right?
Oh, mind you, keep going, and I'm going to throw an Easter egg of what that scene reminded me of.
So I had a bad feeling about that, and I was like, please don't make Jack Black be a bad guy, right? So he seemed that, you know, he was rehabilitated, like blah blah blah. I don't know, man. I think it was like, I don't think much more is gonna happen with that. I think it was his cameo, his Star Wars debut, and I think they're gonna turn the page and move on. We might see him, you know, maybe in the future. I don't know, but I don't think they're gonna develop that character any further.
I think, like any rehabbing crackhead, he would be easy to be convinced to come back to the dark side. I don't think we're gonna see him again, but let's say if they're in front of, let's say that either whoever is going to represent the Mandalorians, let's say it's Bo-Katan. If she's ever in front of the new Empire's Senate, right? And she's trying to declare Mandalore a sovereign country for the new Empire, I think we're going to hear Plazar 15 is not going to back them, and they're going to turn shady against them, and it's because they're going back to the new Republic.
Yeah. It could be. I mean, it seemed like that character, I mean, he had like a very sales car person type personality, right? And like he can probably turn shady at any moment as long as it's convenient for him. I mean, obviously right now, like he's living life at one of the greatest Disney parks, Epcot Center, and he's good. But yeah, you may be right. I just don't think they're probably, I don't know at what point would he come back and whatever. But yeah, I think you're onto something there.
I think, okay, so what I was trying to get at with that whole dining room scene with everyone drinking out of the same straw or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Didn't that remind you of I think it's Empire Strikes Back or New Hope, when Han Solo and everyone, C-3PO, are meeting up with Lando, and Darth Vader's waiting for him at this huge table that looked exactly like this table. That whole scene reminded me of Darth Vader waiting for them, waiting for him, the Han Solo, Luke, and all them. And that's where Hans gets captured and Luke gets away by going down the shitter or that tube. But like, that whole scene reminded me of that, and I'm like, okay, I think Jack Black's character is a bit shady, but we'll see.
So kind of like a foreshadow there of like some bad. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he didn't look like a good guy. I mean, the beard and everything, I mean, had like a total bad guy look, but I guess we'll see. Finally, we see, Bo, Mando. They go with the other Mandalorians, and it's funny because I think at some point Mando is kind of like, what are you gonna say, right? Or how are you gonna convince them or something? Or she maybe mentions that she's kind of nervous and she doesn't know what to say. And I didn't take the word for word, but basically she didn't start it right. She's like, I demand you guys come with me. I'm your leader, right? Like, what the fuck?
Well, when he asked her, what are you going to say? She goes, it's going to come to me. Hopefully it'll just come to me.
Right.
And then when she gets there, she goes, I demand an ass. I'm going to give you an ass whooping, motherfucker. That's what
I'm like, we're gonna like what, and I think even Mando was just like seriously, bitch. Like,
if we could see Din's face, he'd be like
what? I thought it was gonna be like, "Hey guys, I brought you some coffee and some cookies. Let's sit down and chat." She says, "I demand your fleet." Oh no, she's like, "I demand my fleet." She's like,
I brought you a bunt cake.
Right.
There you go.
Oh my god. And of course, they go at it. I love that little action sequence, them using their Mandalorian tools and weapons, against each other. I definitely loved the first kick where she uses her jetpack to kind of propulse herself and kick him. I was like, oh hell yeah, this is like total Mandalorian shit. Of course she wins, and they bring the fact that she doesn't have the Darksaber. And man, what a twist, because Mando pulled that out of his ass, right? I mean, not really, but he explained that he had the Darksaber. He was taken down by this creature. Bo took down the creature, therefore the Darksaber belongs to her. And
mind you, I ask you this: how long do you think he's been waiting on that? When did he realize, holy shit, I'm not the rightful owner? Mm-hmm. If he's, Mr. I walk by the Mandalorian path, I do everything. He went to go bathe in the waters to get, certified again or baptized again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how long has he known about this? And why wait so long?
Right.
Why not do it in front of the armor and all them?
Yeah, so I think so here's my theory on that. I feel like he knew right away, because he was clumsy with that shit. And right away, while he's being captured, he's seeing Bo, fillet this creature like a boss without, any difficulties. She's wielding the Darksaber like it belongs to her. And I think he knew right away. The only problem is that she hadn't committed to the way, right? So because she fell in the waters or whatever, but at this point he didn't know that she was thinking about going straight, right? And that happened afterwards. But I do think he knew right away. It was just probably about waiting for the right moment, right? And maybe that was the sleeve, right? Or the card under the sleeve, up his sleeve, that he was waiting to take out at the right moment, right? But yeah, everybody was just like, oh shit, that makes sense. Yeah, all right. And then she gets the Darksaber. And
honestly, it looks good in her hand.
Yeah, now I mean, and back to Ahsoka and shit, like we're gonna see Sabine Wren and everything. I mean, do you think this is gonna work? Do you think that perhaps
I honestly, I don't know the exact timeline that we're watching this, meaning the Ahsoka series.
Yeah.
Now, could it play out right before Mandalorian season 1? It could. It could be that story. So we might, if we happen to get a cameo from Bo-Katan, it might be a different mindset of Bo-Katan, meaning very arrogant, everything belongs to me type of scenario.
Yeah. And just to kind of take a step back, and for the listeners out there, and I just saw this episode too. The reason Bo-Katan had this Darksaber before, and everybody kind of abandoned her and didn't follow her as a leader, only because it was almost like a similar situation. They, Mandalorians fight against each other. Sabine Wren, who is a rebel, is the one that had the Darksaber, but she knew that she couldn't lead. And basically in front of like all of her clan, she gives Bo the Darksaber without any battle, without winning in battle or anything like that, so it almost, so Mando's explanation was good, right? But there's still no visual defeat, if that makes sense, right? I guess it's just Mando's word. And I don't know if that's gonna work for her, man. I mean, I know she believes it now, right? I know she believes that she can be the leader. The armorer does too. It seems like Mando does too, right? Like,
yeah.
But I just don't know if it's gonna be successful for her. I mean, best case scenario, man, like Mando and Bo get together and they rule Mandalore together. But it could very well be that, it backfires on her again. Or will Moff Gideon defeat her at some point at the end of the season?
You know what? After finishing talking about this, I think we'll watch the trailer for episode 7 together on this thing, and then just react to it.
Okay.
And see what happens.
Yeah, we can do it. But
because I just pulled up on YouTube. I just pulled up season 3, episode 7 trailer, and I already have a lot of questions just from a picture.
All right, so let's do it. Hold on, let me see.
Let's put it this way. Let's finish the recording on this, and then we'll do a separate one.
Okay. Sounds good. So any more? So that's episode 6 in a nutshell. Any other notes, comments, thoughts?
Honestly, this is they do a great job on keeping us, only because with Star Wars being such a vast array of characters, anyone could be involved in the assistance of Moff Gideon's escape.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it going to be Gina Carano's character, who the character's name slipped my mind? That's going to make maybe a cameo in the last episode, finding out she helped Moff Gideon,
mm-hmm.
or is it going to be an actual Mandalorian of some sort that has ties to Darth Maul, like we said? So that's the biggest thing that I love about how these stories are playing out under Favreau and Filoni.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. We'll watch the trailer, but I am also curious as to how they're gonna develop this, because so far, we technically don't have we know the bad guy is there, but no appearances, no. Every other conflict has been between them, so we'll see what they show us actually in a couple of days on Wednesday. But all right, so you want to end it there?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Well, folks, thank you so much for staying. We appreciate the follows and the comments. We had some pretty good success with pulling shorts out of our podcasts. So thank you for liking and sharing those. Welcome to our new subscribers. And, we'll talk to you in a couple of days. Be cool.
Later, everyone.